Hey, remember Moby? Bald, got famous selling all of his songs to car commercials, then got more famous for claiming that he dated Natalie Portman when, according to Portman, my recollection is a much older man being creepy with me when I just had graduated high school. Yeah, Moby, you remember. Did you know that Moby is a vegan? If you did not know that Moby is a vegan, I assume it's because you forced him out of your memory, possibly with the help of drugs or alcohol, because he is definitely one of those vegans, like the vegan from the joke about vegans, you know the one. And recently, Moby, in all of his brilliance, took a break from making up relationships with actors 15 years his junior to gift us with this completely inane thought. A reminder, in a vegan world, there would be no pandemics. 100% of pandemics are zoonotic in origin. Hashtag vegan for life. I see a lot of wrong things in the course of my day. It's my job. I seek out wrong things so that I can correct them or mock them. But this one takes the cake for this week. This is the wrongest thing I've seen in days. And it's not just Moby saying this. This Prince Valiant motherfucker with 500,000 followers on Instagram has been saying the same thing and getting way too little pushback. Before we dig in, let me declare my conflicts of interest as usual. First of all, I did buy Play when it came out. I was young and foolish. I apologize. Also, I am not vegan, but I don't eat most animals. Most animals that other people do eat. I only eat things that I have in the past personally been comfortable murdering. So vegetables, check. Fruits, check. Insects, absolutely. Crabs, yes, they are the insects of the sea. Pigs, no way. Too smart. Too cute. Can't do it. Cephalopods, ditto. Please note that this does not include a me or them situation, like if a squid was coming at me with a knife, I would have no moral qualms killing it. So
don't kid yourself, Jimmy. If a cow ever got the chance, he'd eat you and everyone you care about.
Anyway, so I'm not vegan, but I am pescatarian or flexitarian or whatever you want to call someone who doesn't eat the things that most Americans tend to eat. And as I've discussed in the past on this very channel, I do think the data shows that if more people reduce the amount of meat they ate, the world would be a better place in terms of several factors, but the biggest maybe being global warming. I think the science on health benefits to vegetarian and veganism is less conclusive, but mostly because humanity has used our legendary brains to invent ways to be extremely unhealthy and vegan and vegetarian at the same time. Thanks, double stuffed Oreos and beer. While I think that there's a pretty clear scientific consensus that reducing meat consumption will benefit the environment, let's talk about whether or not everyone going vegan would mean no more pandemics. For this thought experiment, we will have to assume that the world is a very different place to how it actually is, because the fact of the matter is that every human on Earth cannot go vegan tomorrow. I mean, they can't do it without starving to death. There are entire cultures that subsist on meat by necessity. It's kind of tough to grow tofu in the Arctic. Being a vegan is a massive privilege as it requires having ample access to products made without animals. I could easily go vegan if I wanted to. I mean, not easily due to my crippling addiction to cheese, but I have the resources to do it and to be healthy about it. But most humans don't. But let's set that aside. If we could snap our fingers and make the entire world wake up tomorrow vegan, would we no longer experience pandemics? No. Sorry. Let's start with COVID-19. Scientists still aren't exactly sure about the exact origin of this pandemic, but the evidence is currently leaning heavily toward blaming markets in China that sold both living and dead animals. The leaders of the intellectual dark web still think COVID-19 escaped from a lab, but the intellectual dark web is a bunch of morons, which you know because they believe stupid conspiracy theories, and also they call themselves the intellectual dark web. But real scientists think that it started more or less in bats. Bats are very good at carrying diseases because they have these completely bonkers immune systems that allow them to catch viruses that end up not really bothering them, so they can still go about their flappy, bitey business. To use another Simpsons reference, they have Three Stooges syndrome like Mr. Burns.
Here's the door to your body, you see? And these are oversized novelty germs. That's influenza, that's bronchitis, and this cute little cuddlebug is pancreatic cancer. Here's what happens when they all try to get through the door at once. Move it, shout ahead. We call it Three Stooges syndrome.
But for real, if you want to know more about the incredible bat immune system, read that Washington Post article. It's linked in the transcript. It is fascinating. Like, the way their immune system controls diseases without completely ridding their bodies of them might be connected to the reason why bats can fly. Isn't that weird? Anyway, so after carefully examining SARS-CoV-2 genomes, scientists think that it was hanging around in the bodies of bats, and that bats then passed it on to some as yet unknown intermediary species, which may have been sold at that animal market in Wuhan, or possibly it was on a farm that supplied animals to the market. And that, at the market, they think, is where it made that final leap into humans. You know, come to think of it, it wasn't the final leap because after it jumped to humans, it probably then jumped also to cats and to dogs. So don't underestimate how many leaps a germ can make. One note about that unknown intermediary species, despite a lot of racist jokes about how this happened because Chinese people eat weird shit, Nature reports that Chinese researchers collected nearly 1,000 samples from the Huanan market in early 2020, swabbing doors, rubbish bins, toilets, stalls that sold vegetables and animals, stray cats, and mice. The majority that tested positive were from stalls that sold seafood, livestock, and poultry. You know, the things that Americans tend to eat. Just saying. So in this specific case, it does look like the pandemic would not have happened in a vegan world. At least it wouldn't have happened exactly like this. The farms, the markets, the humans buying meat, all of that happened because humans eat meat. But when vegans claim that no pandemics would happen in a vegan world, they are quite obviously wrong. While it is true that most viruses that are a danger to humans have their origin in other animals, we don't just get those viruses from eating animals or from farming animals for food. One very obvious example is the Black Plague, which was most likely spread by fleas living on rats and or humans. Fleas, rats, and humans all share a space not because of what humans eat or what animals humans tend to exploit, but because all of us have similar goals, that is to be warm and well-fed and fruitful. As much as many animals would probably appreciate it if humans were able to completely divest from their lives forever, unfortunately, we just cannot. While we can reduce our meddling in the lives of other species, we can't just check out of the ecosystem. We are part of the ecosystem, and we always will be, unless and until we all fuck off to Mars, at which point we will be part of that ecosystem. The problem here is one of balance. Getting everyone to go vegan tomorrow is impossible, and even if it was, it's not going to solve all of our problems. What would begin to help to solve many of our problems is if everyone who can eat less meat does eat less meat. If we enact regulations that fix the unsanitary conditions at many factory farms. If we limit the use of antibiotics in farming. And if we deplatform vegans like Moby who spread misinformation that gets in the way of people taking this problem seriously and making good, positive change.